Hey everyone, welcome to the Leader's Edge, your path to personal and leadership growth. I'm your host, Steve Steele, alongside my co-host and partner in leadership, Ernie Ducumos. And as certified speakers, coaches, and corporate facilitators, we're dedicated to bringing you powerful principles to fuel your leadership journey and personal growth. Now, whether you're an entrepreneur just starting out, a new leader taking the reins, or a seasoned pro looking to refine your skills, this show is for you. We'll be diving deep into personal growth strategies to help you strengthen your mindset and leadership abilities. But before we jump in, a huge shout out to all of our amazing listeners. Thank you so much for joining us each and every week. We wouldn't be here without your incredible support. Now, let's get down to business and help you unlock your full potential. Ernalita de Kumos, how are you doing today, girl?
Wow, I get my full name today. Yes. Good morning, everyone. Yes. This is your co-host, Ernalita, or also known as Ernie the Kumos, at your service. I'm doing great, partner. This is our second episode live through 216 Creator Studios. And this is the day that we have been waiting for months.
Yes.
Months.
I mean, I've been writing emails months ago.
Months ago.
Crazy. Yes.
That's how long it's been. Yeah. But how are you doing today, partner? Are you excited?
I really am. I am so excited for this guest. This has been an amazing guest. When I first read the book of this guest, we'll share all that as we get into it. But I was so just taken in so deeply with emotion that it just it did a shift in me, Ernie. It made a shift in me so much that I had to email the guest and tell him how much an impact it made on me. So this is going to be an exciting episode, and we're doing something a little different today. We're going straight through. We're going solid straight through. We're not taking any breaks. Solid straight through this week. So because you've got to hear this story, you've got to see what this is all about. So Ernalita, why don't you tell us a little bit about our guest today?
Gosh, just a little bit. I want to tell a lot of it, but I only have a little bit. Okay. Our beautiful guest this morning has overcome abuse, homelessness, addiction, and countless obstacles to find her true purpose. With 20 plus years of corporate and executive leadership, she rebuilt her path by founding Pulse Marketing, an award-winning agency, and later launching COR products. Her resilience, authenticity, and passion for serving others inspires audiences everywhere. Outside of business, she enjoys art, travel, fitness, and time with her children, Adian and Nevaeh. And her debut book, Exposed, which is what we will be talking about today, You Can't Heal When You Hide, shares her mission to spark healing and empower others to uncover their own stories. Everyone, please help us in welcoming Miss Serena Mastin to the green room.
Oh, there she is. Wow.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm telling you what, I'm like sitting here in awe, going, I can't believe we finally got here. This has been a long time coming, Serena. And you and I have conversed a little bit back and forth on email, and we've had you on the show. We had you on Discovery Calls. We had you when we first found out about you. I think Jill Schultz was a person who said you got to talk to Serena Mastin, and we had Jill on the show last week. So it was just having you here today is it's an amazing thing, and we're going to be talking a lot about your book today and your life story, because your book is your life story. It's what together. It really is. So welcome to the Leader's Edge. We're so impressed that you're here, and I can't wait to dive in. So I'm kind of giddy right now. Sorry.
No, I am just honored. Thank you for creating space for me and allowing me to be here with both of you on your journey. So let's dive in.
Let's do it. Partner, you want to start? I want to start. Yeah. It seems like you're like...
I'm just kind of, we're ready. We're ready. So Serena, I guess we need to start from the beginning. I mean, I don't know where else to start, but from the beginning, because this, like I said earlier in the preview, we're going to be going straight through the show. We're not going to take any breaks today. So we got a lot to talk about. So let's just start from the beginning. What childhood, teenage years. I know if anybody's read the book, they know what to expect here. So let's just start right there.
Wait. I'm gonna be the devil's advocate before we have her start her story. Serena, I wanted to share this and say this to you. I was reading your book, crying on the plane, finishing it. I read first half of it months ago, and then I started finishing the book probably last week, and I was crying. And I have never seen, for everyone listening or watching this show today, this gorgeous woman right in front of you has gone through so much in her life, and that shows on the book, but she's sitting here smiling despite all of that. So with that being said, Serena, please share like the very first time when you experienced your first adversity.
Yes. And so I always like to open up and just to let the listeners know that I want to be sensitive of the content that I'm about to share, because not everyone is ready to hear it. So
Yes.
if there's sensitivity, definitely you might want to like take a step back, but I'm going to dive right in.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a unique environment. Unique is probably a nice way of saying it. My biological father was the leader of a satanic cult. And we lived in a single wide trailer in Chino, California. And in that trailer, my mother, my sister, and I were under constant surveillance. So he had members of the cult watching us at all times, recording our every move, or following us if we left. My biological father also sexually abused me, taking my virginity before the age of 5. And so during that period, that was all I knew. I didn't understand the dynamics of that was bad or wrong or right. That was what I was brought into. And when my mom was finally able to get us out of that scenario, I was immediately ripped out of my mother's arms. She had to regain her ability to be a parent by going through programs. And my sister and I were put into witness protection. We were separated on multiple occasions. And between the years of, it was really right before my 6th birthday, and not until I was almost 10 years old that I go to approximately 9 different foster homes during that period. In addition to that, when I did live with family members, I describe the methods of consequences as more of cruel and unusual punishment, because they didn't know how to deal with my behavior at such a young age. And so that was the start of my journey.
I love that. And this gives me a better understanding of behaviors with your story. Sometimes it's easy to say, well, they're just a difficult child because of what they didn't even know what you've gone through and what you're also going through, right? But there's one scenario, there's one house that you were transferred to, and I believe it's with an old lady, and she keeps feeding you vegetables. Is that correct? Can you share that journey, please? I don't want to highlight that. I'm sorry. It's stuck in my head, and I read this book months ago.
So I believe you're referencing the first time I ran away when I was 6 years old.
Yes.
Not many could say that, they ran away from home at 6. But so because I was in such a unique living circumstance, my mom was very much the type of person that was just trying to survive. So she never forced us to eat vegetables or things like that. And so I never really had a normal upbringing. The things that most people would think is normal, I didn't fully grasp. And I believe you're talking about the one story where when I didn't eat my vegetables, I would go to bed hungry. And there was one point when I tried to eat my vegetables because I wanted to go to the playground. And that was the one thing that I really wanted. And I took the very last bite of the vegetables on my plate and I threw it all up. And so that was one of the circumstances. But this particular home, they had a accordion door that closed the hallway. So most of the day we would be locked in our rooms, and the only way to get out of our room was down the hallway, and that would be locked with the accordion door. And one night I didn't hear the latch. And so when you're in foster homes, you have to understand you're in different cultures, different environments, and different scenarios. But when that latch did not click, I grabbed my Stater Brothers bag with my naked Barbie, my pair of jeans, and my unicorn sweater. And I found my way out of that house because my goal at that moment was to find my mom. And so that was the first time I ran away.
Yeah. Wow. Serena, 9 foster homes you were in, right? 9 of them?
Yes.
That's a lot. And it was between the ages of what, and what? 5 and
so about like right when I turned 6, so 5 to about 10.
To about 10. 9 foster. Wow. That's a lot.
And when you're in witness protection, when somebody finds out where you are, for safety, they have to relocate you immediately. And so many times I'd be relocated in the middle of the night and wake up in a new place. So that was, for a child, a very terrifying experience, because not only did I not feel wanted, because I never really had time to adjust to a new place and adapt to the other kids that were there. But when they ran out of places, at certain points, I was then sitting on a bench in juvenile hall because I didn't have another place to go to. So then I internalized that as I was bad. So there's a lot of unique experiences as a child that, as you step back and you look inside a little girl's world, the foster system is designed to keep us safe, but it also has a ripple effect of negative patterns and trauma that it also creates.
Yes. Wow. That's tough.
So I think my curiosity is, we said that you have experienced sexual abuse, and it also mentioned on your bio that you were homeless. But it felt like you were homeless already at a very young age. But can you please elaborate on that moment of your life when you were homeless? I wish to go back during that time and actually shelter you myself, to be honest.
Being ripped away from your home and everything that you gain this sense of survival and independence that you typically don't get until you're much older. So by the time my mom had earned her rights back as a parent, I was in a different state of mind. I had already felt like I had been on my own. And so, some of those circumstances and trying to now adapt to rules and different things that I was not accustomed to, it just pushed me over the edge. And so when I was 15, I left, and I felt, looking back, I feel, heartbroken for my mother. She had worked so hard to get me back, but I was just so determined to, and obviously with a strong will, I was determined to just do it my way. And I left when I was about 15. The odd thing that most people kind of laugh about is I did enroll myself in high school because I didn't want to get behind. But between that, I ran out of places to stay.
Yeah.
So I bounced from house to house for a while until I had, worn out my welcome. And then from there were nights where I slept on the park bench across from the school. And I would wake up with dew on my face because I was shivering and so cold. And when I would hear the gates rattle open, I would run across to the school. I would get ready in the girls' locker room. And then I would just pretend like I was a normal kid and continued to go to school and do my homework and get all those things done so that I didn't lose that progress.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, I had 3 jobs. And at that time, they only had public transportation. So I would then take the bus to one of the jobs, work those hours, take it to the next one. And what started to happen is I was running out of fuel. And so my source of survival and the addiction that I clung to was methamphetamines. It kept me going. It kept me up. I was able to do my homework. I was able to go to my jobs, which eventually led to me just kind of crumbling, because there had been multiple days where I couldn't even really afford to eat, and therefore my body was just giving out. And so unfortunately, living in that world, you're also exposed to a lot of scenarios that most people wouldn't be at a young age of 16. I talk about the sexual assault when I was raped. I was actually raped by 2 different men. I was raped by a 40-year-old man when I was 16, and then the one that I share in my book, which was what I was hoping for, a safe haven that night, and found that I was in a very dangerous place. And so I looked at it in those moments, especially when writing about them. It was the choices that I made that led me there, right? So we blame ourselves and shame ourselves a lot during that period. And as a young girl, I just was compiling all of these patterns, these negative patterns by some of the things that I experienced.
Wow. You okay, partner?
Yeah, I'm already like taking deep breaths. I'm clenching my fingers here. My hands. I'm clenching my hands.
I can see your reaction.
Disclaimer. That's why.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm highly stimulated by this, and I can go on. But partner, please.
I mean, Serena, you're 15, 16 years old. You're going through. You're trying to go back to high school. You're trying to do your best at school. You're sleeping on park benches. You're going into class. You're changing clothes in the locker room. You're pretending like everything is fine. Then you finally get to a place where you're actually raped by a man. And Serena, what happens? I mean, how do you keep going at that age? I mean, how do you keep moving forward when those kind of things keep happening? Those scenarios. I mean, does it just become it is what it is kind of feeling, or is it like, for me to comprehend it is tough, and I know for a lot of our listeners it would be tough as well.
Yes.
When you come from so many stressful situations, your body tends to live in the fight or flight mode. And so I just kept fighting like throughout my life. And I didn't recognize it, that my body had stayed in this heightened sense of fight or flight. And my mindset was determination. It was, I was determined to prove everyone wrong. I was determined to do it on my own. I was determined to not be a statistic. I was determined to finish this. And I just didn't want to stop moving forward. And so in that period of time, what's interesting is when I did stay that small, period of time with my mother, the flip side had happened. So my mom had become a Christian, and she was very, involved in the church. And so that gave me some really fundamental tools. So in the moments when I started facing even more adversity, I would go back to prayer. I would go back to forgiveness. I would lean on those things to keep me going. But in truth, it is your body's in this fight or flight mode. And so you just keep fighting until you can't fight anymore.
Yeah. And it felt like you've fought throughout your entire life till, way before you wrote this book. But another part of your life is also, so you were a young kid, been in 9 foster homes, was able to live with your mom, but decided to also move out, work your way up, and then got married.
Yes. So let's fast forward. So I climbed the corporate ladder. I only had a small time that I was able to go to community college and those types of things. So I knew I had to get my hands dirty in order to, gain experience and work my way up into being self-sustainable. And so climbing that ladder for those years was also a part of my growth. And I also had 2 children along the way. So my son was born when I was 21, and my daughter was born when I was 25. So I was a very young mother. I was a single mother, and multiple relationships that I continued to, leave me feeling like I was creating a pattern. And so I kept trying to shift that pattern. And when I met Kyle, I thought that this was the man of my dreams.
Oh gosh,
I
girl.
mean,
I fell in love with Kyle myself.
I know.
And then tell us what happened.
So Kyle, he was charming and charismatic, and like, just when you met him, you just fall in love with him. Like, he would sing, he would play guitar. At one point, he even painted a full picture of me. Like, it was just like, he was just filling my whole world with love and some of these experiences that I'd never had before. And he loved my kids, and he was an amazing father to them. And so there's so many pieces and parts of Kyle that I just poured my heart into. And we did get married, and we had a blended family. And I just felt like I had put him on this pedestal because I had never felt this level of love from someone before. And about 2 weeks after our wedding, I'd finally, at this point, I was in corporate. I was a VP of marketing. And I just had, gotten it behind my desk, and I was getting caught up on the things that I had missed from the week prior. And let me tell you this to add, because most people don't even consider this, but not only did I just get married, I just did a fitness competition.
Yes.
I had lost 80 pounds after my kids. And I wanted to also prove that I could do something this big. I was in the best shape of my life. I just got married. I was on top of the world. And I was this, VP for this Fortune 5000 company. And I'm sitting at my desk getting caught up 2 weeks after we were married. And it was right around lunchtime, and most of the people were gone for lunch. And I could see, we were in an executive suite, but I could see that somebody walked in. And I'd kind of rose my hand to help her. And she walked in my office, and she said my name. And she closed the door behind her. And she said, she described my house. She described my kids. And she said that she had been with my husband for over a year. And we had waited 2 years before we got married. So the processing of all this information, I was just in shock. Yeah. And when we confronted him Kyle fell to his knees and started screaming at this woman. And I remember feeling outside of my body, like that I was in their story. I was no longer in my story.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time that he was ever unfaithful. But that was also the first time that that pedestal that I had him on being shattered.
Yeah. I have a question in mind, Serena. So, reading the book, I know with Adian and Nevea as your first two kids, and obviously those are also two relationships that you've had, which was not pleasant. And then you fell in love with this amazing man, which I like the story. I felt like I was reading a novel,
Mm-hmm.
a romantic novel with his story. I got stuck with Kyle for 2 months, and I kind of had a break. Now when I read that, it broke my heart for you and for me too at some point. But I had to add that in there to kind of lighten up the mood. But
I was in love with Kyle.
but with that, did the memories of the past two relationships came crashing down in that moment when you saw Kyle, screaming at this woman? What was that? You said you left your soul, left your body. Like, did all those memories, the pains, the heartaches, did they come back?
It was more of the idealistic view that I had of who he was
Yeah.
just dissipated, because he did so many things for me and went above and beyond. Such this personality that everyone fell in love with. And he was such a good father.
Yes.
And like I had put him on this giant pedestal. And in that moment, when I saw this other side of him,
Yeah.
it almost felt like I wasn't a part of the story. And I had so much empathy for this woman that I'd never met, because I felt like she was heartbroken. And so it was a very odd dynamic. Most people would be angry in that first moment. And I think I was more broken because I recognized that there was a whole nother person that was being hurt with me.
Yes.
And what continued to happen throughout that time was I was trying to understand forgiveness. I knew that forgiveness was for me. And I knew that if I could extend that forgiveness to this woman and to my husband, that it would allow me to work through these emotions. And we went to boot camps. We went to couples retreats. And we were working on ourselves individually, but then also working on our marriage to overcome this. And so in the first few years of our marriage, not only was it broken down to pieces, but then it was rebuilt and in a stronger way. And I felt like, at that time, I felt like we were thriving. And most people would have already left, but I felt like we had overcome something huge and that we could then extend that in our story to help others. So it did become beautiful in a short period of time in the first few years of our marriage, which is when I then started the agency. But then
wait, hold on. Let me comment on that. Let me comment on this. Partner, I feel like I'm taking over, but I want to
You're doing
comment.
fine, Ernie. You're doing fine.
I want to comment on this because what you did is you stayed with him not because of the one thing that he did wrong, but because of all the things that he did right. In your book, you showed how you fell in love with him, the things that he did for you, how he made made a difference in your kids' lives and your life. So that's basically the idea behind it. But this is why our heart was broken. Tell us what happened next.
So I started the agency. I left the corporate world, and I did it because my mom is now my best friend, by the way. And she had said to me, if you only gave a quarter of yourself and you invested in your own business, instead of giving that to everyone else, there's no way you wouldn't be successful. And I said, yeah, Mom, you have to say that because you know, I'm your kid. And she goes, well, if you're not going to do it for you, then do it for me. And I said, you are so manipulative, but I will do it just to show you that I'll do it for you. So that's when I started the agency. And shortly after I started it, now remember, I'm working out of my home office. I'm the only employee. And Kyle had come home from work one day and he said, I quit my job. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And I was like, so we're going from a 1-income family to a 0-income family. And he's like, well, if I'm going to sell anything, I'm going to sell something I believe in. And he did. And we grew exponentially within a short period of time. We had employees. We built out an office. It was really an exciting time for us. But beyond looking like this perfect couple on the outside, what was happening behind the scenes is Kyle was struggling with multiple infidelities, not just the one. He was struggling with addiction, whereas I had not struggled with addiction since I was 16 years old. So things that I was now like in my 30s trying to wrap my arms around. And then he struggled with mental health issues that were undiagnosed that I didn't truly recognize until it was too late. And so as this started to happen, I'm building a company. I have employees. I have a family. I have these beautiful children that I wanted to protect. I started hiding. I started to try and work through the issues with Kyle and with a counselor and with, different programs. But when I found out about the second woman, every progress, every little step that we took towards being stronger and having this, foundation in our relationship, it wiped it all away. Yeah. And I felt like I was right back in that one moment when we started. And what had happened in that moment is I no longer had the fight, but instead I was deteriorating. Yeah. And on the outside, I would pretend everything was okay because I didn't want my kids to be impacted by it. I didn't want my employees to go through it. I had worked so hard from where I came from and living on the streets and that I didn't want to ever put my kids in that situation. And I felt like if I just get through this, then I can't let his decisions create a consequence for my children. And that's what I was trying to protect everyone from, is that his decisions wouldn't just create a negative consequence for him. It would impact everyone.
You okay, partner?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just when you, and I want to say this to our audience, you need to go get the book. It's on Amazon.
Yes, because please, this is amazing.
Once you hear the story today, and then you just want to go get the book so you can get a full color of what it was really all about. Because we're just touching the hem of the garment today, but the book is just full of imagery and all. I mean, it's very well written, Serena. It's done very, very well.
Very descriptive.
Very descriptive, and in some ways, Ernie, you're right. It felt like a novel. Sometime I was reading a romantic novel, or I was reading a thriller, or I was reading, all kinds of. It was just all kinds of things.
A roller coaster of emotions. There you go.
Huge roller coaster of emotions. So I want our listeners to go out, get the book Exposed. You can get it on Amazon. It's an amazing book, guys. because once you hear this, finish up with the story today, you're going to want to go buy the book. So just make sure you do that, because that's so important. And I know that there's things in there that you are dealing with as an audience. People are listening. There's things in there that you'll see what Serena went through and what she did to accomplish and how she was able to change things. But we've already been on this roller coaster this afternoon with this, and but it didn't stop. It didn't stop.
What happened to Kyle?
So here's the thing. Serena, there was at one point when you had an employee actually was involved in a triangle situation. Can you go through that a little bit with us?
Yeah. So I was deteriorating. I mean, my mind, my body, my health. And I knew that something needed to change, but I was so terrified to lose everything. And I talked to a counselor that I was, individually working with for a long time. And I said, I am amazing. I'm a good wife. I'm nurturing, I'm caring, I'm loving, I'm affectionate. I'm a business owner, and I'm running this business and I'm creating this amazing culture. I'm a good mother. I'm even good in bed. Like I am, I know it, and my counselor, he said, Serena, you may be all of those things, but you cannot earn love.
Yeah, that's right.
It has to be freely given.
That's right.
And that was the moment that it clicked for me, because I didn't recognize that the whole time I was trying to earn Kyle's love by being all of these things. And I stepped back, and it was like this moment where I felt weightless. Like, I don't have to earn this anymore. And that's when I found out about another woman. And I got the courage at that time. I said, I've been hiding for much too long. I'm not going to hide anymore. And I left Kyle. And in doing so, I had to tell my kids, because I had not shared any of these experiences with my family, my kids, anyone. So no one other than my counselor knew about the multiple issues and the addiction and the infidelities. No one knew other than my counselor and Kyle and me. And so in doing that, I thought there had to be a separation from him and the company. So I had to go to my staff and share with them that we're going to be stronger than ever, and we're going to get through this. And that's kind of the method that I took to go talk to my team. And everyone was so supportive and like, yes, we're going to be by your side. You have nothing to worry about. But right after the conversation, it was like whispers were happening. And one of our sayings is that we have a 0 tolerance policy for gossip. And I said, you guys, like, let's not gossip. Let's move forward from here.
Yeah.
And then one person spoke up and said, they're not gossiping. Kyle was with one of my employees. And it was an employee that I had nurtured, and she cried on my shoulder, and she was married, and they were traveling to trade shows together, and I didn't connect the dots. And she had just left the company a few weeks prior to me leaving Kyle, and I had never connected the dots. In the moment that they brought this to light, it just was a different level of pain. Because I just felt, not only did I find the courage to share my truth and to start to move on, but that meant that they all knew this whole time, that everyone was watching from behind the scenes, and no one had the courage to tell me. And so then you have this feeling of betrayal, but you also have this feeling of just pain, because you feel so exposed. And so in that period, you can imagine, I had to put locks on the office door. I had to change all the locks on the house. I had to sell the house. The company was in $400,000 worth of debt that I had just lost. I couldn't wrap my arms around it because Kyle's spending was just so out of control. And it felt like the world was crashing down.
Mm.
And just a few months after I'd left Kyle, I got a call, and it was frantic, and there was a lot of messages left on my phone, and they had said, you need to get to the hospital. And so I did. The hospital just happened to be across the street. I could see it from my window.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And I ran down the stairs. I was living in a condo with my kids at the time. And I said, told my daughter, you stay. My son demanded to go with me because he was 18. And we get to the hospital, and I'm totally confused. The last time that I had spoken with Kyle was several weeks prior, but that night, Kyle had sent me a text message. And he said, I'm so sorry for all the pain that I have caused. And I'm so grateful for all the memories we shared. And I thought in that moment, like he finally recognized the pain, and he's finally accepting responsibility. Like, this is a beautiful moment. But what I didn't realize is that that was his message goodbye. He had taken his life that night.
Mm. Oh.
Wow.
Yes, my heart was broken into pieces and was stepped on and all over the place. But
oh, I know, girl. I know.
I'm sure I felt the pain, every single thread of pain you have in that book. I felt it. I was crying, sobbing, and things coming out of my nose that are not supposed to come out. But
I had the ugly face cry. I had the snot bubbles. I'm with you, girl.
I love it. I love it. I love it. But we shared this story to our audience this morning, not to basically have a very grim morning or afternoon, whichever time frame you would watch this or listen to this, but it's more so of your journey, right? With everything that you have gone through, Serena, all the hardship, the pain, the struggles, the adversities. Have you ever stopped and asked, why is this happening to me? Especially with the scenarios with Kyle. Can you please expand on that?
Throughout my whole life, I actually had a continuing statement that was, why me?
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why me. I thought that it was happening to me, that I was responsible for this. Like, I had somehow created a pattern where all these things were happening to me, but it was my fault. So I blamed myself. And it wasn't until I started writing the book that I recognized that it wasn't why me in the sense of it's happening to me. It's why me? Because I'm meant for something greater.
And it's kind of like the saying, why not me?
Yeah.
Why not me? And it's so many times we learn that it's happening to us, but happening for us.
Yes.
And so, Serena, based on that, how can you honestly say today that everything you've been through, how has it been for you? Because I know
I love that. And most people are like, oh, Lord, this is the story. I look at it like it has given me so much clarity and so much, I like to say, post-traumatic wisdom. That
yes.
I am able to give so much more to others. I'm able to understand on a deeper level from different perspectives that a lot of people wouldn't be able to. And I feel like it's a gift, even though you look at my life and see it as this tragic event. I don't see it that way. I see it as that was, each moment may have hurt in different ways, but it's created who I am and has given me a platform to then go and serve others, to help others get through their own healing. Because the more we heal ourselves, the more we heal the world.
Yeah.
That is beautifully said. But I'm the devil's advocate. But they hurt you since
Yeah.
the very young age, multiple times stabbed you. Eh, How can you forgive them?
You know, I was really good at forgiveness. The thing that I knew that I had to forgive because I felt like everyone is human. Everyone faces these different obstacles and makes choices. And I didn't feel like the forgiveness was hard. What I felt like the forgiveness for myself
Mm-hmm.
was hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because looking at myself in the mirror, because I had blamed myself, I'd shamed myself, the torture that I endured just from my own mind was actually harder to forgive. When it comes to other people, though, just to be clear, forgiveness doesn't mean tolerance.
Right.
And when you tolerate behavior, you condone it.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be boundaries, and you have to set up safeguards around yourself. And through those experiences, I was learning how to do that. And I have to say that I don't have hate or anger or resentment towards my father, towards Kyle, towards anyone that has hurt me along the way. I have compassion. I don't allow those types of people in my life, but I'm very alert and aware of the scenario and the circumstances. And I've created these boundaries that keep me safe. And that was a learning process for me.
Wow. Yeah, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. And gosh, I think all of us at some level have those learning, have to place those boundaries in our life so that we can move forward, right? And oftentimes we don't know how to do that. You know, sometimes it's difficult to do, and because we do live in spirals of shame, and if we don't deal with that, you know, I'm just curious, Serena, was there ever a point in your journey that you had to deal with the inner parts of you, the inner child piece?
100%.
Yeah. How did that look for you?
I still deal with it. So know that this healing journey is not, I thought originally it was like I check it off the list.
Yep.
But it's not a I check it off the list kind of thing. It's a forever journey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I struggled with a lot of, self-deprecating, thoughts. And at times when I was younger, I would hurt myself or I would cut myself. I also struggled with, bulimia and eating disorder that I struggled with for 10, 15 years because I was self-inflicting pain because I kept blaming myself. And what's interesting, and I learned this later in life, that when you start your life with a trusted person that abuses you, you start to believe that you have to earn your love. You have to earn your worth. And so that traveled in to every area of my life, and I had to unlearn those things. And so it's a process, and it's facing your inner demon, but it's also facing your inner child and allowing that child to grow in a different way with new patterns.
Yes.
And not only that, but to be compassionate with that part of you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have that compassion for that particular part of you, your conscious person, who you are when you're out and about and you're talking. When you have to have that compassionate piece and check in with that inner child, with that person that was once you, and having that compassion and love for that helps build that forgiveness over time as well. And you have to do the work. Serena, one thing I want to point out here to our guests, that these things just didn't magically happen. You had to work to get where you are. There is work involved, audience. There's work involved. You're not going to grow your life, improve your life without hard work.
And without reframing your thoughts. Identifying your patterns, becoming self-aware is the first step. The second step is self-management, managing those behaviors. and then self-regulation. So regulating, how you're responding, and you have to continue to work on it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
A lot. Yeah. It's not an overnight process.
Yeah.
For sure. I agree. And you mentioned boundaries earlier, Serena. I know you have your own acronym for boundaries. Do you mind
I
sharing it with
do.
us,
Yes,
please?
yes. We love to
So
hear
I have a horrible memory, so I had to create something that I would remember.
that.
And it's brave. And so the B is for boundaries, to actually create boundaries in every relationship, not just a love relationship.
Right.
The R is for reliability, that you do what you say you're going to do, and you follow through. Not just me, but the other person. So that gives me a guideline. The A is for accountability. You're going to own your part. We're both going to own our part, and we're not going to point the finger at the other person. The V is for vulnerability, for being fully transparent and open, and creating a safe space for both of us to share the hard things to say in a loving way. And then the E is for equal effort, that I am going to pour into you, but you are equally going to, invest in me as well. And so that's my brave boundaries.
I love that. Brave.
Partner, you asked Serena last week a very profound question, and I don't know if you remember it. Do you remember that profound?
I asked her a lot of questions last week.
It's the last question that you asked, I believe, and
if you remember, go ahead and share it, Ernie. I'm not
okay.
sure.
I think you'll remember once I asked it. How do you handle adversity today?
Yeah.
So I have a quote that I live by. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm.
Wow.
And facing that adversity, it's going to come. But I have to tell you that you find gratitude and joy in those little moments. You find the people that you surround yourself with that inspire and uplift you. And so the adversity will always be there. It's your mindset that you have to change in order to keep moving forward.
100%, Serena. That is so beautiful, because that is so true. People oftentimes want the easy way. We all want the easy way. We all want to do it easy, and it just doesn't come easy. It comes with work. It comes with tough times. It comes with adversity in your life, and knowing how to deal with that. And I posed a question this morning that to a team that we were talking to, or I was talking to, and I posed this question. I want to pose it to our audience, and I want to put it out there, and then perhaps you can comment on this, Serena. But could it be that the magic that you are looking for is in the work that you're avoiding?
I love that. The magic that you're looking for. I also is in the work that you're avoiding. That's part of it. But I think you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations to really see the truth in why you respond the way you do, or why you're not dealing with it, so that you can face it with courage.
Yes.
Because it is a tough situation, but the more you run from it, the more it allows it to rot and decay within you, and it impacts your body, your mind, your spirit, and your soul. Nothing is too big. Someone has been through something similar.
That's right.
And all you have to do is find the resources to get through it.
Yep, that's beautiful.
I love it. Serena, thank you so much for such an amazing episode. I feel like we can talk to you all day and we don't have enough time. We just love you dearly. But our viewers and our listeners are most likely curious as to what you're currently working on and how can they reach out to you.
So I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I still own and run my marketing agency, which is Pulse Marketing. And if anyone's looking for me, they could easily find me on serenamastin.com or pulsemarketingteam.com, or basically any social media. I'm pretty easy to find.
Wow, it's beautiful.
I no longer hide, you guys.
No, I can
Yes,
tell.
she's been exposed.
One of the
Exposed.
amazing things that I've noticed about you since I've met you, the day I met you, is you always have this amazing smile on your face. Always.
Yes.
It's always there. It never goes away. It just never goes away. And that is so awesome to have that spirit, and the work that you've done on yourself and what you've been able to accomplish. But I got to go here next week on The Leader's Edge. We're joined by our newly found Maxwell leadership friend, James Newell, as he shares embracing your inner squirrel. Yes, I said inner squirrel. The next nut in learning. You won't want to miss this one. It's going to be really, really good. So, Serena, as always, I've looked for this a long time. Thank you so much for your time today. We absolutely love it.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you again, Serena. We will need to have you back. And this is recorded, so we will need to have you back.
Yeah.
Also, just a reminder, you can find The Leader's Edge on Apple Music and Spotify or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. We wanted to say thank you to all of our listeners and friends, because without you, The Leader's Edge would not be possible. And we are grateful to have you here and excited to connect with you next time. For now, bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.